What's up, my friends? So basically, work's kind of slow right now. I've been hanging out in San Angelo. It's cold and I thought about driving around and shooting more videos, but I have a whole lot of video archive that is really good. I've thought about doing some international traveling, and last year at the Banana Bungalow in Los Angeles, which is the most recent video I posted from New Year's 2018, I met a guy that was on a 2-year journey around the world. When we met in LA, he was 9 months into it, and now he's finished. But the conversation we had was very informative, to say the least. This video, the imagery in it is not exciting. We're just hanging out in a room in a hostel. So it's meant to be more listened to like a podcast. It's about 15 minutes long. And without further ado, meet, wait, I should know his name by now. Yeah, so we're sitting here on the bed just chatting, and he tells me he's been traveling for
9 months.
9 months and going to all these international countries.
Hi, my name is Huot. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I've been traveling for the last 9 months since April 7th in Lisbon, Portugal. So I've been to over 50 countries. I usually stay at hostels. It's great for meeting people, but you stay at a hotel once in a while and you'll stay under budget too. So I spend about, I'm supposed to spend about $80 American a day, but I'm staying under that just by staying at hostels. I don't spend too much. I don't really see a lot of high-end expensive sightseeing anyway, so I don't really interested in that. So I'll be traveling for about 2 years or so, so I'm 9 months in, so I got 15 months to go. So that's me. Oh, and I have a blog called I Will Find My Bear. Guess what it means?
Wait, what does it mean?
It means I'm looking for an actual bear.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you can find those on the AT in Virginia.
Yes, I've actually wandered hiking trails as well. I have not seen a bear. Canada's full of them. I've hiked my whole life and I have not seen one bear. So that's one of my #1 goal on my bucket list, to actually see a bear in the wild.
You see one, keep hiking.
Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to charge in order to play dead. You know, I know the rules. Yeah.
So, where's your next stop?
Tijuana, Mexico, then the rest of Central America.
And what are you going to do in Tijuana?
I don't know. I've actually been there before. It's actually the only reason I'm going to Tijuana because it's cheaper to fly from Tijuana to Mexico City than from LA to Mexico City. So sometimes your next place is chosen just because of expenses or for logistical reasons.
So has the intent been to hit each country, just to like cross the border and stay in one city, or have you traveled within each country quite a bit?
Depends on the country. In India and China, I traveled basically the entire country. Some places you only stay in one spot, like Montenegro. I only went to the one city, only for 12 hours as well, because apparently there's not much to do in Montenegro, according to my friend who was there. Yeah. He took me on tour of the city. We're there for a couple hours, and he told me, okay, that's Montenegro, and he told me I can leave. So it depends on the country. Some countries are bigger, more interesting than others. Some are not. So,
do you have a favorite?
Bulgaria, actually, strangely enough. There's a building called the Communist UFO Building in Bulgaria. It was built by the communists in the 1970s, 80s. It actually literally looks like a UFO. It's all sealed up and welded shut. So there's 2 ways to get in. One, you would have to break your way in yourself. So bring a crowbar or a fire extinguisher. If someone's already broken ahead of you, you don't need to. Basically, you jump through this hole. It's about 3 meters drop. Climb over this water tank, swing hand over hand on some water pipes, jump down, climb over this broken door, and then you're in the basement of this building. Then you go up, and you're in this auditorium. There's one of the most beautiful murals you've ever seen in the world, too. Just Google Communist UFO Bulgaria. You'll know what I mean.
Very stereotypical communist.
Yes. So, Communist UFO murals as well. But it's kind of like out in ruins, so it's kind of like an ancient civilization you're looking at, too. But yeah, it is illegal to break in, by the way. So if the cops show up, you may have to pay them a small bribe or something. Okay. They won't arrest you because you're just a tourist. It's just too much hassle for them. It actually is quite difficult to get in and out. You have to have a fair amount of upper body strength. 10 groups tried to do it while we were there for about 3 hours. My group, me and a couple of Aussie guys, and a group of Spaniards, the only one who made it in. And there were a bunch of injuries all around too. Twisted ankles, cut and bruises as well. So yeah, that's why Bulgaria, it's a challenge of finding places too. I like to find those obscure, tell me you can't find it, or there's some weird building somewhere in the woods. I actually love to find those things too.
Nice. So have you been scared anywhere?
Yes. I actually got mugged in Johannesburg too, which is kind of a cliche now that I realize it. I wasn't paying attention as well. I took all the safety precautions when you're in an unsafe country. I didn't carry my wallet around, cell phone or anything. But that day was my last day in Johannesburg, and I just went and I was getting cocky, and I just went out the wrong exit. I will say the cops in Johannesburg are not helpful either. They actually upset me more than the robbers did.
So what did you lose?
I lost my wallet. It wasn't that much money, and my cell phone.
Oh, you didn't have your pack with you.
No. No, actually, I did have my backpack. I actually fought for it as well, which you're not supposed to do. But I didn't want to give up my passport with all my stamps, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they finally gave up when they realized I wasn't letting go of that. Everything else I didn't really care about because I replaced my phone. It's money. It wasn't that much anyway, maybe $100.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't tell them that, but the cell phone they stole was useless to them because it's a USB-C cell phone, and you can't get the cables in South Africa.
Oh.
So they would have gotten the cell phone and realized they couldn't charge it, and you can't charge it if you can't sell a phone without the cables. They'll ask like, "Where's the cable?" They wouldn't have it. So I don't know if I felt kind of bad for them. They went to all that trouble and only effectively got $100 American.
Nice.
So yeah, that was the only time I would have been scared.
So what was the cheapest country you went to?
Cheapest. This is what years ago. It was actually my own native Cambodia. It's about $5 for a hostel. Actual beds, not these bunk beds here. Actual single beds as well. There were pools, there were yoga classes as well, and you can go to like high end, like 5-star, for like $100 American. And they told me all these amenities. They give us free massages. There's Olympic sized pool, and they even told me I had my own butler too if I wanted one, like a butler just for me for the entirety of my trip, not anyone else's. It's just mine. I didn't take up and up. I was really tempted because just to live 5-star once in your life. But Cambodia is about the cheapest country you can go to traveling right now. It's getting up there, but it's still the cheapest.
And it's beautiful.
It's quite beautiful too. Angkor, yeah, I've never been there until I went there a couple of years ago.
Were the people of Asia friendly?
Mostly. I will say some countries they weren't unfriendly, they were just indifferent towards you. Most Asian countries, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, they were curious about tourists. So they would look at you, introduce themselves, talk to you. China and Japan, they're more standoffish as well. So it's hard to interact with the locals in those countries.
And so all of this has to be somewhat complicated. If one were to want to do an adventure like this, how would you suggest they get started?
I saved up for quite a bit of time. I also had a pretty good job, so I had money saved up already. And just make sure you're okay traveling. I wouldn't suggest this for someone who's never traveled internationally before, because it does get frustrating at times. You don't speak the language, no one's helping you, and the bus is not going anywhere. You have no idea what's going on. So you probably want to do some short haul trips first, like overseas, just so you can get used to traveling by yourself.
Are there like multi-destination tickets or?
Yes, a friend of mine did just a round the world ticket. Like you can fly from like LA to like Sydney to like Tokyo back to LA. So there are those tickets. They make the traveling a lot cheaper, but that would fix you to each spot as well. So you have to be in Sydney on this date. You have to be in Tokyo on that date for the next flight out as well.
So you book one ways as you go.
Yeah, that's why it gives me ultimate flexibility. It increases the cost, but it gives me ultimate flexibility too.
So when you went to Portugal, did you realize you were going to be
gone for 2
flying
years.
around the world indefinitely?
Yeah. I try to make these stuff stick with ground trips, like buses, trains. They're a lot cheaper too, and you get to see a lot more stuff. Like I met a ton of people on the train in India, like whole families, because you're usually the only foreigner on those trains.
Yeah.
And they want to talk to you. They will tell about their country. They want to know about your travels as well. So in those situations, you really talk to people. On planes, it's too short, and you don't really talk to anyone.
I love it.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? Let's see. Oh, in Lagos in Portugal, near the beach, there is a restaurant. There's only about 10 seats. You have to wait like an hour to get in, and you have 30 minutes to eat the food once you get it. It is the most delicious seafood in the world. And they're literally saying, okay, here's your food, 30 minutes, and you're out the door.
And probably caught that morning.
Exactly. It was absolutely the most delicious food I've ever had.
And how did Kim Jong-il treat you when you met him?
Well, it's actually Kim Jong-un now. You have to be very careful with that.
Okay.
Kim Jong-il is dead, and you do not insult the leadership in North Korea. You will get into so much trouble. Americans can't go in there because they will try to grab you. The North Koreans are actually very nice. They're big on looking at tourists, so you're a very big curiosity piece as well. So we got to go in the metro. We talked a bit with the locals. And actually on the train from Gangdong near the border to Pyongyang, that was the only time I talked to locals without any minders around. And so we actually got to talk about their families, their villages they were living in. So that was the only time I actually talked to North Koreans, and we were fairly certain like no one was listening to us. But yeah, it's a very strange country in North Korea. There was some singing and dancing from the children, and it was just strange. These 11-year-olds singing like adults as well. I do not know how they did this, but they must have been trained their whole lives. But yeah, it's a nice country. It's good to visit, but it's one of those countries where you know the entire population has been indoctrinated.
But
And
Americans can't go, correct?
right now, your State Department says it's illegal and it's actually strongly not recommended because they actually do not like Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah, our tour guide was fairly hostile towards them. Apparently, they were fairly hostile towards him, and they apparently did not tip him afterwards as well.
I guess the political climate translates to the average man.
I will tell you, you will see a lot of pictures of Donald Trump in North Korea too. Not very flattering ones.
Like the kind where we
Kim
put
Jong-un
Osama bin Laden in the urinal.
No, he's on the ground, and Kim Jong-un is like stepping on him. So it's kind of like those pictures, like their leader is like crushing.
I want one of those.
Yeah, you can't get them though. It's only their actual the propaganda posters on the wall. You can't get them. You can get the regular posters, even though they charge like quite a bit for those posters, like 50 euros for one of those posters. Yeah, and you actually do not want to steal anything too, because they will arrest you for even stealing a poster.
Cool.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stories like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with them.
No, you're in a very vulnerable situation. You have no internet. You have no phone. Yeah, they don't take away your phone, but there's no cell phone signal. There's no Wi-Fi or anything. There's only one of the rare times I did not have internet for like 5 straight days.
Do you speak any foreign languages?
I speak a bit of French, Spanish, etc. So, and actually, I'm fluent in Khmer and Cambodia as well.
Okay.
It helps if you know the local languages. You get a local discount too. Yeah. Also, if someone in your group knows the local language, you quite often get the discounted tickets at the ticket counter as well, because they're able to buy the native tickets for the rest of you too.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks you learn as you travel.
And so you're headed down Central South America now?
Yep, I'm gonna go from Tijuana and fly to Mexico City and take a bus to Guatemala. Belize, I'm debating to go to Cuba, but that requires a plane ride or a boat ride through the Caribbean. So, like I said, I make decisions as I go along. Sometimes I meet travelers and they say, oh, you gotta go see this place, gotta go see that place. Just like the communist UFO, I found out about that place from a guy I met in Ukraine. Like, he was another traveler too, and he told me, you have to see this. It was so much trouble. He shows me all his little cuts and bruises as well, just to get in too. So he's a market prize. So you learn about a lot of places by staying in hostels, and you get recommendations about where. Some place I would never have gone unless I had met those persons. I never would have went to Montenegro if I hadn't met a Montenegrin in Hungary.
Nice.
So yeah. So that's one of the great things about hostels. You actually talk to people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like even in hotels, if you're having dinner and some guy sits across and saying, hey, my name is this.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that'd be pretty weird too. Yeah, but in hostels, it's actually a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No bed bugs or anything? Hostel's pretty
not
clean.
yet, no. Haven't gotten sick or anything.
What do you use, Hostel World?
I use Hostel Worlds. Booking.com sometimes have hostels that are not in Hostel World as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But Hostel Worlds is pretty good. You can read the ratings are pretty accurate too, and I usually try to be honest in the Hostel World ratings and what's good about it, what's bad about it. So if you read up on them, you know where to stay.
Nice. So do you use Instagram, Facebook, something like that?
Yep, I use Facebook for all my blogs as well, and I post all my videos to Instagram.
Okay. What is your Instagram?
Huot Ivy, Huot Ivy.
Cool.
Yeah, just search that and you'll find me. I should be the only one in the system to the best of my knowledge.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
You like inspiring me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people inspired me about traveling. I wouldn't have done this unless I met those travelers as well. Like saying, I'm gone for 2 years. I'm going for 3 years.
Yeah.
I met an American who was nearing the end of the 1 year, but she was really tired of hi, my name is, and this is where I found this what I'm doing. And she promised herself, very last day, she would punch that person, the last person she meets. I'm not sure if she was serious, but she seemed pretty determined about that too. And she was like 11 of the 12 months in, so she actually should have done it by now. So I'll have to ask her about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like just taking care of life's essentials.
Yeah.
When you're in a new place takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, you actually live by your wits too, so you have to figure this out. Like, what is this I'm eating right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And languages and trains.
Yeah.
What was
trains.
the hardest country to get around in?
China, actually. Do not take buses in China, and this is for a very specific reason. I was dumped in the middle of a countryside by a bus in China because it was one of those bus taxi scams. So basically, there's a single taxi guy there, and he says, "All right, I got to charge you, which is about 5 times the usual rate." And he told me it's about 3 hours walking. I told him I'm not paying it, and I just started walking. Thankfully, a couple guys on a motorcycle came by and asked me, "What is this tourist like walking through the countryside for?" And I explained the situation, and he offered to ride me, and the amount he charged was actually what it would have been for an Uber or a taxi as well. So I took it up on it. But yeah, just on principle, I try to avoid being scammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, China is really tricky to get around. Use the trains only. The buses are bad.
Okay.
Just bad.
Get a motorcycle.
It's just a big country too. That's the other problem. It's so big.
Yeah.
And they speak English, but they don't like to speak English. So you may have trouble getting people to actually help you.
Yeah.
One country I cannot go to, I want to go to, that was Iran.
Okay, so we're talking visas right now.
Yeah. Most countries of the world do not require visas for Americans and Canadians. So we're visa free for almost all countries, or like visa on arrival or e-visas as well. There's only a handful of countries in the world that you require a visa before you get there, like Russia, Iran, China, Brazil. But most of those countries have workarounds. Like in Russia, you can go into St. Petersburg just for 72 hours, but you still see the country. Brazil, go to Argentina and go to the embassy and say, I want to apply for a visa. They'll let you apply on the spot. Iran's the only country I have found where I could not get a visa on the road somehow. Even North Korea, they'll let you just do an online visa. Or actually, you email them the visa, and they'll process it, and they'll send it back saying, yeah, you're approved. And they've actually never rejected anyone, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to do the research. There's like 200 countries in the world. Americans can go to 150 of them, visa-free, e-visas or visa on arrival. The remaining 50, most of them, there are ways around the visa rules as well.
Okay, so explain to me how you figured all this out. You said you
I made a list of every country on the
countries.
planet. I eliminated the 155 countries that do not require visas for Canadians. So I left 45 countries. I scratched out the countries I did not want to go to. I can't go to Syria. I can't go to Iraq. I couldn't go to Libya because it's in the middle of civil war. I'm adventurous, but I don't want to get killed. So then I listed the countries that I needed visas for. And I researched each and every one of those countries. Go on forums, go on travel blogs as well. And they said, oh, there's a little trick to these visas. Go to this embassy, go to that embassy. You got to pay a bit of extra money. So yeah, there's ways around basically every single country in the world. Iran's the sole exception I found in my travels. I cannot get a visa on the road. Because I do not know when I'm going to get into these countries. So I can't apply for a visa at that point. I actually got caught by the Indian visas when I first started. When you apply for an Indian visa, one of the questions they asked you is, when will you be in India? And I told them September. I was applying in February. So they started, it was a 6-month visa, which they started in February. And the visa would expire before I ever got to India. So I went back to the embassy and asked them, okay, my visa says February 1st to August 1st. I won't be in the country till September. And they told me, oh, we ought to start the visas from the date of application. So I did have to ask them, what was the point of asking that question? When you're going to be in India if you're going to start the visa at that point? And she just shrugged, said those are the rules. So I was out $100.
So you applied for it before you went.
Yeah, that's my one mistake. I should have just done it on the road, which I did in August after I had to wait for the visa to expire before applying it again.
Oh, so you get all these visas as you go.
Yeah, India was the only one I got the visa for. I thought, okay, maybe it was like another $50 to do the e-visa while you're on the road. So I think, okay, I'll save $50.
Okay.
But it didn't work out. I basically just lost the first fee and had to buy it all over again.
So how long were you researching these countries?
It actually only took about a day because there weren't a terrible number of countries. The mainly it's 155 countries that visa free. There's 200 countries in the world, so the 45 countries that require visas. I scratched out the ones you didn't need, so that left about maybe didn't want to go to. Maybe left 30 countries or so, and basically just made a list and just started research. So it doesn't take that long to figure it out. You just have to make sure it is accurate information too, because sometimes it is out of date.
So from continent to continent, you'll fly.
Yeah,
and
or sometimes I can cross. Like I crossed over to Europe to Asia, like from the European side of Turkey to the Asian side of Turkey, just by going under the Sea of Bosphorus. Most of the time you do have to fly. I went from Israel to South Africa by flying. I could have gone through Egypt, down the African continent, but it's just easier to fly to South Africa.
But the rest of the time, it's like you stepping stones.
Yeah.
To hostel.
Like bus to bus, city to city. It's just easier to do that way. It's also more interesting too. So you're not spending so much time, like, you know, on a plane. You're on a bus. You're seeing the countryside. You know.
Very nice. All right. More logistics. I'm hammering him.
Yeah. This is a very
We're
important part of
talking.
logistics. You have to do some research beforehand. You just can't buy a plane ticket, or you're gonna get yourself in a lot of trouble when you get to your first country. You have to have some basic idea of what you're doing. That's why I traveled for 7 years for a month at a time each year before I did this trip. So it's already a well-versed world traveler. And I met a ton of people who've done like a 2-year trip or 1-year trip or 6-month trip. So I've already met a lot of people, and I asked them for advice. What do you do in this situation? What do you do in that situation? If you get mugged, what do you do? If you lose your passport, what do you do?
Yeah. Figure it out as you go.
Yeah, you learn a lot of stuff as you go, but if you have the knowledge beforehand, it really does help. So you're not panicking if you lose your passport or something.
And that's it, my friends. I hope you learned something. I did. At very least, some basic geography. Oh man, we're hanging out in Angelo, but right now I am actually shooting on a Sony RX100, which is a little tiny point and shoot camera. I've gotten tired of hauling around all the big equipment, and I bought this little point and shoot because a lot of getting the right shot is just being in the right place at the right time. But often a cell phone is not adequate. This thing will go from 2400 to 24 millimeters to 200 millimeters. And I got 14 days to return it. So we're gonna shoot a video all on this thing, and instead of doing a crappy review walking around with a bunch of handheld shots, I'm gonna go out and actually try to push this camera to its limit and make something good with it. And honestly, I made a video with it yesterday. Yeah, so the one where I was chasing Vance around the house, that was shot on this camera. And the audio is amazingly good. Anyways, this is the end. I love you guys. I hope you have a great night, and I will see y'all very soon. Peace.